Spain was once the richest empire on earth. Not one of the richest, the richest. It ruled oceans. It controlled continents. It possessed more money than any nation in history had ever seen. And yet, it went bankrupt. Not once, not twice, but again and again and again. This is the part of history that never makes sense at first. How does an empire, drowning in money, collapse under the weight of its own wealth? How does unlimited silver lead to empty treasuries? And how does the greatest economic advantage ever discovered turn into slow decline? The answer begins with a mountain. High in the Andes Mountains, over 13,000 feet above sea level, stands a jagged peak called Cerro Rico, the Rich Hill. To the Inca, it was sacred. They believed disturbing it would bring disaster. They were right. In 1545, silver was discovered spilling directly from its rock. Not dust, not traces, solid, shining metal. Spain moved fast. Thousands of laborers were forced into the mountain, and beneath Cerro Rico, a city exploded into existence. Its name was Potosí. At its peak, Potosí became one of the largest cities on Earth, larger than London, larger than Rome, built almost overnight around a single idea: silver. This mountain didn't just produce money, it redefined money. Silver from Cerro Rico crossed the Atlantic into Europe, then crossed the Pacific into Asia. It paid soldiers, merchants, and emperors. One mountain linking the world. This is where globalization truly began. Not with factories, not with banks, but with a mountain being torn open. For the Spanish crown, Cerro Rico felt like destiny. Unlimited money, unlimited power. Why build industries when wealth could be extracted? Why innovate when silver arrived by ship? Spain didn't just have silver. Spain became dependent on it. And the damage came quietly. As silver flooded Europe, prices rose. Food cost more. Rent climbed. Wages lagged behind. Spain was injecting enormous amounts of money into an economy that wasn't producing more value to match it. Inflation took hold. Local industries collapsed. Imports replaced production. Silver flowed in and straight back out. Spain borrowed heavily from foreign bankers. Silver paid debts. Silver funded wars. And silver disappeared. Even more silver flowed east. China demanded silver, and only silver, for its goods. Spanish silver became Chinese money. Cerro Rico powered the first global economy. And the cost was immense. Thousands of indigenous laborers died inside the mountain. Silver flowed upward. Human lives flowed downward. By the late 1500s, Spain had more silver than any empire in history, and yet it couldn't pay its bills. Because wealth isn't money. Wealth is what money can sustainably create. Spain mined silver, but it never built prosperity. Welcome to Empire Economics, the channel where history isn't just remembered, it's priced. This is the story of the greatest economic illusion ever believed, and the mountain that proved it wrong. At its peak, Cerro Rico produced more than half of the world's silver. Not Spain's silver, not Europe's silver, the world's. Every year, caravans hauled raw ore down the mountain. Mules collapsed under the weight. Furnaces burned day and night. Coins were stamped faster than anyone could count them. Silver poured into Spain by the ton. To the Spanish crown, this felt like absolute power. Money meant armies. Armies meant control. And control meant permanence. If you had enough silver, you could buy anything: soldiers, ships, loyalty, time. For a while, it worked. But money is not value. Money is only a claim on value. And Spain was making claims far faster than real value was being created. As silver flooded Europe, prices began to rise everywhere. Food became more expensive. Rent doubled, then tripled. Basic goods that once felt ordinary became luxuries. This wasn't coincidence. It was inflation. More money was chasing the same amount of goods. Spain's silver didn't increase productivity. It didn't improve farming. It didn't expand manufacturing. It simply expanded spending. Wages failed to keep up. The poor fell behind. And Spain's domestic industries began to collapse. Why make goods at home when foreign products were cheaper? Why invest in workshops when silver could buy imports instantly? Spain stopped producing. It started consuming. And most of the silver didn't even stay in Spain. It passed straight through the empire. Spanish kings borrowed heavily from foreign bankers, especially in Genoa and the Netherlands. Silver paid interest. Silver paid debts. Silver flowed outward as fast as it arrived. Spain owned the source of money. Others controlled the system it moved through. Even more silver flowed east. China, at the time, demanded silver, and only silver, as payment for its goods: silk, porcelain, tea. Spanish silver became Chinese money. The mountain in Bolivia was now powering the global economy. Meanwhile, Spain fought war after war, against France, against the Ottomans, against rebellion in the Netherlands. Each war was financed with silver. Each loan was backed by future silver. The empire was spending tomorrow's wealth today. When shipments slowed, everything broke. Spain couldn't pay its creditors. Confidence collapsed. And the richest empire on earth defaulted on its debts. Not once, but again and again. Each bankruptcy weakened Spain's influence. Each one made borrowing more expensive. Each one exposed the truth. Silver had created the illusion of strength, but it had hollowed the empire from the inside. Spain had discovered a brutal economic rule. You cannot spend your way to prosperity. You cannot extract your way to stability. And you cannot mine growth forever. By the early 1600s, Spain had more money than anyone, and less control than it appeared. Because when money stops representing real value, it stops working. By the early 1600s, the miracle was fading. The richest veins inside Cerro Rico were gone. Silver became harder to extract. Costs rose. Returns shrank. The mountain that once seemed endless was running out. And as the silver slowed, Spain's power drained with it. The empire hadn't built industries to replace it. It hadn't built systems to sustain growth. It had built expectations and debt. When the silver weakened, everything else collapsed. Spain lost wars it once would have won. It lost influence it once took for granted. And slowly, the richest empire on earth faded into the background of history. Not because it lacked money, but because it misunderstood wealth. Cerro Rico still stands today. Its surface is scarred by centuries of mining. Its tunnels honeycomb the mountain from the inside, and its summit is collapsing inward, a hollow peak, barely holding itself together, a perfect symbol. Because Spain wasn't the last empire to fall into this trap. Economists now call it the resource curse. When easy wealth replaces productive growth, economies rot from the inside. Money flows in, currencies strengthen, local industries collapse, power centralizes, corruption spreads, and when the money slows, everything breaks. We've seen this pattern repeat for centuries, with gold, with oil, with diamonds, with financial bubbles that feel unstoppable, until they aren't. Each time, the story is the same. Abundance creates confidence, confidence replaces discipline, and discipline disappears. Spain believed silver made it powerful, but silver didn't build institutions, it didn't reward innovation, it didn't create resilience, it delayed reality. Meanwhile, other nations were learning a different lesson. The Netherlands didn't have mountains of silver. Britain didn't have endless mines. What they built instead were systems, trade networks, manufacturing, finance, incentives that rewarded productivity instead of extraction. They didn't mine wealth, they created it. By the time Spain realized the difference, it was too late. The mountain was hollow, the treasury was empty, and the empire had already peaked. Cerro Rico didn't just fund the first global economy. It exposed a dangerous illusion, that money equals strength, that abundance guarantees dominance, that empires can skip the hard part. History says otherwise. You can conquer land with armies, you can extract wealth with force, but you cannot mine prosperity. And every generation finds its own version of silver, something that feels endless, something that feels safe, something that promises power without sacrifice. The question is never whether the silver will run out. It's whether the empire builds something real before it does.